with me. I'm working off of one screen, and you guys know I like to have way more than one screen going. So, all right. All right. Everybody jump to the chat real quick. Just put a 1 in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me just fine. I've got my iPad up where I can at least see the chat. Okay, so quite a few ones coming in there. Get really comfortable. Keep that chat box open. You guys are going to be utilizing it quite a bit here. I'm ready to get rocking and rolling. I hope you guys are. Coming to you guys live today. If you guys cannot see over my shoulder, obviously I'm in a tank top. I don't know if you can see out that window back there or not, but that is the Caribbean Ocean right out there. Coming to you guys live from, who can take a guess? Who's been paying attention the last few weeks? Some of you guys know where I'm at. Type it in chat.
Virgin Islands.
My location. Get more specific. I think that was Sal, I heard. Anybody know the exact island? Marty, you are incorrect. Bob, you are correct, my man. Way to be paying attention. Live from St. Croix, Virgin Islands. So this is officially my notice to you guys that if I ever hear anybody say that you cannot run your business from anywhere that you want to run it from, you personally are holding yourself back. Because I've been working all day since we got here yesterday. I also spent time on the beach. You guys can ask Marie and Jake. Those of you guys that know Marie and Jake, I took a meeting from the middle of the ocean today with them. Live on my phone, chest deep in the water. Took a business meeting. So with that, let's get talking about how do we make those type of things happen so that you guys can be hanging out son of a beach, as Bob just said in the chat. It comes down to building a business that has a shit ton of traffic so that you can do your business from anywhere. Sounds about right to me, yeah? With that, I want to welcome you guys to the webinar. I know you got a lot of other things that you can do. Some of you guys probably got the text messages that came out right before this. I appreciate you guys for showing up, being on the call. You booked, you said that you were going to come, and you actually did it. You actually showed up. So I want to thank you guys. And more importantly, welcome you, because I can promise you this, over the next 60 minutes, the stuff that I'm about to get into, those that actually take it, run with it, implement it, utilize it, put it into action, more importantly than just sitting here and listening to it, you're going to start to see results. Those that don't, that say, oh, that was cool, maybe I'll get to it, I wish I had the time, operate from a position of excuses, well, you're going to be in kind of that same position that you're in. My mission over the next 60 minutes is simply this, folks. I'm going to teach you exactly how to get more traffic so that you guys can do more deals. So if you are in the real estate game, if you're a real estate agent, real estate investor, and you are not looking for more traffic and more deals, feel free to jump off the call, because the whole focus about this is to help you get more traffic, more deals. If that sounds good to you guys, if that's a good mission for this, jump right in to the chat and just type in more traffic. That way I can see who actually wants more traffic. Max, you're on moderating this for me. Anybody that doesn't type more traffic in, feel free to hit the eject button. It's kind of like an F-16. Pull that eject ripcord, watch them fly away. I hear a bunch of people in the chat. More traffic, more traffic. So we're good there. All right, in order for us to get through these next 60 minutes, let's put a quick code of honor in place like I do all the time when I'm with you guys live. I'm gonna encourage you, shut off all the other tabs, shut off the screens, turn off your cell phones. Hopefully nobody's really joining from their car, because I'll be honest, if you're joining from your car, you're probably not paying attention. You're more important to driving than you are paying attention to the webinar. But shut everything off. Kill the distractions, give me 60 minutes of undivided attention. I promise you, I'm going to give you 120% of myself over this time. Keep yourself muted. This is more of a webinar format. It's not like our Wednesday training calls. There will be times where I will ask you to unmute. We are going to kind of workshop this a little bit. So there will be some stuff that you guys are going to do, and I might ask for you to unmute, share what you came up with, share your thoughts. But in between those, just keep yourself muted to be respectful to everybody else, to limit the background noise. I'm going to encourage you to keep your camera on. I do have my iPad up so I can see most of you guys on my other screen. So as you're talking, when I get to that point, it will pull you up as the spotlight speaker. be nice to actually put a face to the name. Hold your questions to the end. There's going to be a point when I get through this, I will get to some Q&A points. So hopefully we'll have some good questions to dive into that. Participate in the chat. You guys know I like to ask you guys to jump in that chat box, write some stuff, all that kind of thing. I do have that up, and I do have Max here to help moderate it. So if you're having any difficulties or whatever the case, let Max know. My internet's pretty strong. Max and I were on prior to this. It was working just fine, but he might be able to help you there. And then, like I said, the next 60 minutes can and will change your business. I promise you guys that. If you, more importantly, take what you're about to learn and actually implement it. For those that are on that may not know me very well or haven't been around very much, my name is Shawn. I am the CEO of REI Toolbox, TRC, Investor Harvest, and our real estate brand, Access Home Buyers. I've been in the real estate investing game really since 2011. But more importantly, I'm here today to teach you guys about marketing, and that has been my passion. So yes, I am a digital marketer, certified through Digital Marketer themselves. Been all over the speaking circuit. You guys know most of this stuff. But the one that I'm most proud of, between myself, clients that I've worked with, other businesses, all these type of things, I've produced millions and millions of leads. And that's what I'm here to teach you guys today. How do we get more traffic so we can get more leads so that we can do more deals? I don't think there's anybody in the real estate game right now that is looking for less leads. If you are, I'd like to have a talk with you because I'd be curious what you're doing that you need less leads than what you actually have. Sounds like you need some help to get more deals. That's the case. Now, let me kind of just establish a few things here. Everything that I'm about to teach you guys today is what's currently working in the moment. I'm not talking about the old school tried and true methods that have been around forever. Listen, I've done it all. That's me and the crazy freaking gorilla cat, whatever the hell that suit was, next to my brother's best friend. We were trying to throw a cornhole tournament to raise awareness for our company, right? Standing outside of my very first ever office in Youngstown, Ohio. I've done the booths, as you guys can see there on the right-hand side of the screen. We've done the trade shows where we set up nice stuff. I've done the stuff where you get in front of realtors at their offices and speak. Hell, I even tried outsourcing bandit signs at one point. Problem is, I think I picked the wrong person to outsource them to. That's my daughter, Layla. I was trying to teach her how to put them in the ground. She didn't quite catch on, so we had to figure out a different way to outsource that. But we've done everything in the marketing space when it came to finding leads. And while all of these work, they all work. I wouldn't say that none of these are bad or things that don't necessarily bring leads. What I started to realize was something had to change if I really wanted to scale. Right? When we took our companies 2012, 13, 14, and really started to explode that 19, really started to get going, I realized what was working then worked for the level that we were at. And some of you guys on this call right now, this is what's happening to you. You've got a couple marketing campaigns. There's a couple things that maybe you're doing on a slightly consistent basis, and it's dribbling in a couple leads here and there. And it's kind of that old saying, right? What's got us here today isn't necessarily what's going to get us to the next level. And that's what I realized was that marketing, to really scale the business, to really go to the next level, to really create the time frame and the passive side and everything that we as real estate people want out of our business, we had to start looking at it from more of a brick stacking game. Like if I gave you a pile of bricks and told you you're allowed to use 3 of them only, you can't really build a very big wall, right? 3 bricks really aren't going to do much for you. If I gave you 300 bricks and told you to build a wall, you're gonna have something pretty strong. And marketing is really the same thing, right? There's a lot of different bricks to this thing. We call these tactics. And we're gonna get deeper into this here in a second. And I started to realize that the key to business growth wasn't necessarily about doing more. It was about employing or deploying more bricks. I just needed to build a bigger, stronger, more solid wall of bricks working in my favor, and I can have more leads. Right? Bricks to me are assets that get attention. Bricks are the tactics that we're going to get into here in a little bit that are like magnets that help draw some attention into it. And as time went on, I started to realize that more bricks helped me get through the number of touch points that an average consumer needs before they ultimately make a decision. And before I go any deeper here, I'm curious, throw it in the chat. How many touch points do you guys believe, feel, maybe you've read some studies, it's kind of the average touch point that a typical consumer needs from awareness to making a decision? Meaning, how many touch points of a company do they need to go through before the average person, we're not talking about the one-off, talking about the consistent average here. Let's see, I've got some stuff in the chat. Marty says 7 to 10. Bob says 13 to 17. Dominique, 15. I know that's not Linda. That is Sal. Definitely the wrong name in the chat next to the photo there, Sal. It says 7. We got 15 to 17. We got 5. We got 8 to 10. We got 15. We got 8. So kind of skirting around it. But those of you guys that are saying somewhere between 8 and 10, this is what some of the typical studies. There's been a ton of studies done. You guys have been around me for any length of time. You've been on some of those presentations where I talked about some of the different Harvard studies and the different things that they've done from a sales standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, some of the different touch points. On average, they say it takes 8 to 10. And there's other studies that show that companies that push it out to 11, 12 start to see better results. And I've always said that we really, really want to excel or kind of be at the top of our industry in our marketplace. We can't just settle for what everybody's doing. So if everybody's doing 8 to 10 to maybe 12, we really want to push that to that being our minimum, right? Because when everybody starts to fall off, we're the ones that are consistently still pushing, and we're going to pick up some of those breadcrumbs that others probably are overlooking. So the magic number that I've always said is 13 to 14 touch points, because it's that 1 or 2 extra. Most of the time, our competition isn't necessarily pushing to it. So when I started to really think about that, right, over the years, and even to this day, when I look at marketing, that's 13 to 14 bricks per prospect, right? And this webinar, I'm not going to go too deep into understanding your KPIs and getting into the metrics of knowing like how many leads do I need to get an opportunity? How many leads do I need to get to a closed deal? Because we're going to have a lot of opportunities that we evaluate, that we offer on, that we potentially negotiate to. That may not work, right? Numbers don't always line up, whatever the case. But if I'm looking at it from that standpoint, 13 to 14 bricks per lead, that's a lot of bricks. Can you guys agree with that? I see Sal on camera right now. I see Bob. Just give me a thumbs up. I see Victor. What's up, my man? Just give me a thumbs up. Like, that's a lot of bricks, right? If I'm doing 13 to 14 touch points, right, per lead, and then imagine how many leads do I actually need to get to that closed deal? And everybody on this call's number is going to be slightly different. Sal, you happen to be right underneath me on my one screen. Maybe you're, 27 leads to one deal, where Bob is 10 leads to one deal. Well, that's going to be a lot more bricks, right? A lot more touch points. And for those of you guys that have been around for a while, maybe you're part of the Investor Harvest program, you were at the event in Phoenix that we just did. And if you guys aren't, I encourage you guys to go look at that. I talked a lot about when we were there that there's 2 primary things, or 2 kind of like primary areas that as business owners, I don't care what the industry, in this case today we're talking real estate, that we're really focused on. And those 2 areas are drive opportunity, right, through leads, lead generation, get more visibility on our company to generate the leads. That's our primary focus, and then close more opportunity. These two components, driving more leads, right, getting more visibility on our company, and closing opportunities. These are the two critical crunches that for a business to survive, if it doesn't have eyeballs and opportunities and leads coming to it, it can't close deals. And if it's not closing deals, it's not making any money, right? And sometimes we get so wrapped up into all the other components of real estate. Where's the money going to come from? What lender am I going to use? Who's the insurance? I don't know how to deal with contractors. I don't know how to evaluate the property. I don't know what rehab needs to happen, right? We get all stressed out about that. How do I even stage it? Who's going to do my photos? And we sometimes overlook that the most critical component is really about getting leads. It's about getting opportunities coming to us so that we have something to close. So as I started to really break this down over the years, what I came to realize was to have 15, 16, 17 potential bricks ready per lead so that I had 13 or 14 touch points for them. I needed to really focus on multi-touch through multimedia, meaning I can't have one of my sources do all of the work for me. It's going to require multiple sizes of bricks to ultimately build this wall. I might have a right-hand turn in my wall. I might have an end to my wall. Right? These are different shapes, no different than in my marketing. I need multiple different outlets. And we're going to break down what media really means here in a second, what this multi-touch component is, but that's what it came down to, right? And as I look back, why have we been so successful? And no matter what industry we've gotten involved in, why has it been so simple to drive leads? It's because we don't focus in one, right, in singular. We look at it from how many touch points over how many different pieces of media, how many different outlets, and how quickly can we get to that 13, 14? Because I know it's going to take 8, 9, 10 before they're really even solid and really paying attention, right? We have the one-offs that we reach out to them once or twice and suddenly they show up. Hell, there's probably some of you guys on this webinar that have probably been touched by me, our marketing, 30, 40, 50 times, right? You're still out there just doing your thing, struggling, trying to figure it out. So we know that we need this multiple piece. Can you guys agree with that? If you can, throw a thumbs up in the chat, throw a 1 in the chat, something simple, just to let me know that you guys are paying attention. I don't like having my 2 screens where I can put everybody big on one screen when I'm in the studio. And here's why, right? For those that were in Phoenix, this is going to be a little bit of a recap, kind of a refresher, right? I talked about the customer journey. And although it's linear in this diagram, it's not really linear. Meaning our prospective buyers, our prospective sellers, the people that we're going after on a consistent basis, they're not going through this process in a straight line. Many of them begin their journey in what's known as the awareness phase. The awareness phase is nothing more than they're starting to show interest and they become aware that you, your brand, your name, your company even exists, right? And they might stumble on it through social media. They might stumble on it while they're doing some searching digitally online. They might randomly have gotten on an email list or you got their email. Maybe it's through text. Maybe they stumble on a YouTube video. They're searching for something, right? Video ads. Maybe we're running YouTube ads and they stumble on it, right? However they come upon it, right? And you guys can see all the different stuff that potentially could fall into that awareness phase where they can find it. That's phase 1 to them. They are not a lead at this point. They are just simply aware. I see Victor at the bottom of my screen, and you've been posting a lot on social media lately, all these billboards that you got up in Florida as a real estate agent, right? Your brokerage is putting these out, doing those things. When that person drives by that billboard and sees that big, beautiful bald head with that beard, right? Victor, agent, all this stuff, they don't really know who Victor is. They don't know what Victor can do. Sure, they know he's an agent. They can pretty much assume, right? But do they know what makes Victor any different than any other agent in the world just by seeing that billboard? No, they just now know that there's this real estate agent in this area that's putting billboards all over the place that's bald with a beard named Victor. right? That's the awareness phase. Now, most people, right? Most of our customers, if we stick with Victor here for a second, if I'm in the market to sell my property and I'm not quite sure what real estate agent I'm going to do, and hell, I was driving down, I don't know, I think I-77 may go through your area, or it's 79, something like that, right? I forget what side of the state you're on, but one of those interstates, right? And I've seen 3 of Victor's billboards. Do you think I'm more likely to probably, if I don't have my agent yet and I'm looking to sell my house, you think I might start doing some searching? Like, who is this Victor guy? Who's this agency that this brokerage that he works from? What's unique about him? Does he even sell my type of property? These are questions that they start to have, right? And that's when they fall into this category that we call the findability, or the discovery phase of that journey. And 100% of this comes from search. Even if they get referred, even if somebody tells them, hey, I know Victor, you should probably use Victor, 99% of the time, they're still going to do some level of research. They might reach out, but they're still going to do some kind of research. They're going to go online. They're going to go to Google. They're going to go to Bing. They're going to go to Yahoo. They're going to start typing their stuff in. They're maybe going to start looking for stuff on the social platforms. So leveraging organic search, PPC, our maps, right? Directories, apps, near me, GPS type services. Being in the places where we know that they might be searching. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that here in a little bit, because we've got some pretty fun technology that we already know everybody suffers from ADD, ADHD, even if they haven't been diagnosed yet. It's just the way that Americans are. Attention spans like 6 to 12 seconds. It's actually very impressive that all of you guys are still on this webinar and haven't, tuned off and gone somewhere else. Shows why you guys are way more dedicated than most, Americans or humans, I should say, out there. But the reality is just that, right? We live in this Instagram, Reels, TikTok kind of world where 5, 6 seconds, boom, we're on to something else. Something else has got to grab our attention. And there's ways that we can be discoverable that has nothing to do with search platforms like Google or Yahoo or Bing, because we already know they're going to go play on their apps. They're going to go look at the other stuff on news. They're going to go to these other platforms. We also need to be there, right? And then eventually they go through the rest of the journey. In tonight's webinar, we're not going to go too deep into the whole reputation and conversion and beyond side of it. We're really focusing in on these 2 hyper-focused categories of the customer journey, and that's that awareness, right? We got to get them aware of us. And when they go do their research, we want to make sure we're covering our kind of like crossing the T's, dotting the I's, so to say, and being discoverable on those fronts, and really just kind of ultimately getting to that 12, 13, 14 touch point level as fast as possible, because the one that can get there the quickest typically is going to end up with the business. Now, I'm curious, let's start here. I got a couple questions while we're on this slide. If you've heard of inbound versus outbound marketing before, throw a 1 in the chat. If you've never heard of inbound or outbound marketing, and this is a new concept to you, throw a 2 in the chat. I'm just curious where we all kind of stand. Looks like everybody, most of you guys are pretty savvy. You get on these calls quite a bit. See a lot of 1s. Don't forget, if you don't participate, Max has full authority from me to hit the eject. Okay, I see a couple people that threw 2s in there. So let me kind of go into this just to make sure everybody's on the same page when it comes to the difference between inbound marketing versus outbound marketing. It's really actually simple. The picture on the screen kind of sums it all up, right? Inbound marketing is really like a magnet. It's leads that come to us. Inbound marketing is really driven quite heavily from content, whether that be blogs getting posted to your website in your blog section and being indexed properly and being tagged the right way and showing up for certain keywords and playing to that robot side of things. Those of you guys that have been REI Toolbox clients for a while, we say that's the Roger side of the business, right? YouTube is another, video content, right? Social media wise on that, where some inbound comes in, maybe they stumble upon one of your IG reels or your Facebook reels, or they're over on TikTok on one of those short form videos, these type of things. Inbound is really that magnet, right? We didn't know who this person was. I'll use Sal as the example. Sal doesn't exist to me, never heard of him, have no idea who he is. All of a sudden, he looks at something of mine, or let's say he happened to join this webinar. Some of you guys on this webinar, I don't know who all's on right now. Some of you guys might fall into this category. Maybe you saw the social media post or the other things that we put, or one of the groups that we shared it into, and you just happened to become aware of it. You jumped on, or somebody that shared my post that you knew, you saw it and you jumped on it. That would be a form of inbound marketing, right? I don't know you, you really didn't know us. You saw something, you got involved, you reached out, you read it, you watched the video, whatever the case, right? That's inbound marketing. Outbound is 100% me going out to that person. So I know Sal's name, I know his address, I know his phone number, and I'm cold calling him, or I'm sending him something in the mail, or I'm knocking on his door, or I'm, ringing like crazy to get his attention. Me going to them, that is outbound. So now that we kind of understand the difference between inbound and outbound, I want you guys to go to the chat and tell me, which one do you think is the better option? Which one brings more leads to us? Which one is one that we want to have working like clockwork for us? I see a lot of people writing inbound in. Somebody said want inbound. Lauren, I'm assuming you wrote want in all capitals because you've got the outbound going, but you want some inbound, right? Okay, so I see a lot of the overwhelming consensus. I don't see anybody actually writing outbound. I got a question for you guys. Why not both? Throw it in the chat. What's your thoughts? Why not both? Why are we so consumed with inbound? See what a couple of you guys see. Victor typing. He says makes sense. Well, I know it makes sense, dude, but why? Like, why is the overwhelming consensus anytime that question comes up? Why does everybody lean to inbound? Bob says because they're coming to you. Inbound is warm and should convert easier, says Lauren. Sure, but prefer inbound because they need more warmer leads. Inbound is seeking you out, typically more motivated. They already have looked into you. Established connection, okay? And I wouldn't disagree with any of these. And I don't think any of you guys would. Time, Larry, thank you for being honest there. I wouldn't disagree with any of you guys, right? Inbound is obviously way more motivated. They're probably higher qualified. They're probably deeper down the track in the customer journey, right? They probably are a little bit more dialed in on what exactly they're looking for. Probably not going to have to work them as hard. Right? We can all agree with these, yes? Here's the thing. How frequent, if I'm waiting for that person that matches all of those criteria, they're already down the journey. They've started to do their research. They're deep. We'll see who's really paid attention to some of my teachings and trainings over the last year, 2 years, 3 years. What's the percentage of the population of our pool, right? If we were to take everybody that could potentially be a client of yours in your market, put them in a pool, what's the percentage of all of those that meet that category? They're already ready. They've already kind of done the research. They're highly motivated. They know what they want. They're ready to make a decision, right? Without even talking to you yet. What's that percentage? I'm curious. Throw it in the chat what you guys think. Now it says question mark 5%. Chris, 1 to 2. We got a 1%, less than 5. Here's the good news. So far, nobody's wrong. 1 to 3, 1 to 2, 1. Okay. It really is 1 to 3%, but heavier leaning to that 1 to 2% range. And a lot of you guys have heard me talk about like the 97 to 99% of people fall into this category where they're what we call the not ready buyer. They're not quite ready. They don't know what they need. They're still curious on what the options are. They don't even know if they're in a bad situation. They think they can figure a different solution out of it, right? They're trying to even decide or find out what options are on the table for them. Is there a way to skirt away from the problem that's at hand, right? And that 97 to 99% of people, they're really in information mode, which is what's going to eventually draw them in on that inbound side. Realize, holy crap, Sal and Ohana Legacy and everything that I keep finding for my probate situation here in the Katy and Houston area, these guys are like everywhere. I keep reading all their stuff. I keep stumbling on it. I keep finding it. People keep telling me about them. They must be the right people. And then they eventually come to you, right? Because they've transitioned to that 1 to 3% that's now in that ready phase. And now they're actually an inbound lead. But what can we use to speed that process up if we already knew that they were in a bad spot? If they already had a home that they inherited? If they were in bankruptcy? If they were about to face foreclosure? Can we use outbound marketing to help get that information in front of them faster? And when I started to wrap my head around this years ago, that outbound isn't necessarily just about going straight for the jugular, meaning it's not about going for the sale. That if I use outbound in a very strategic format to say, hey, I know you're curious. I know you are looking for information, and I happen to have some, and here it is. Here's a cheat sheet. Here's a download. Here's a checklist. Here's a blog that I wrote. Here's a video that I shot. Here's this that breaks this down. Here's this that has this information. Here's this that has this. And I subtly say, oh, and by the way, if you want to talk, I can help you deeper. If you're looking for guidance, we actually help people like you. And I bring that from more the secondary side of things. Am I kind of like guiding somebody to my inbound side of it by leveraging some outbound components? And when I wrap my head around that, I said, it's not a battle of inbound versus outbound. It really is a combination of both working hand in hand, using my inbound components as tools, as resources. And when Roger and I sat down and came up with the name for REI Toolbox, this is why we called it the Toolbox, because every bit of our marketing is really just a tool in a toolbox to help us do this right here. Combine the two and be both. If this is starting to resonate, if some light bulb moments might have just happened, just in the comments, type boom, something like that, say heck yes. Just let me know that this is sinking in, that I should still continue. Make sure everybody's on the same sheet. Okay, see quite a few booms and some heck yes. See a mind explosion emoji, I love that. So what I'm really here to say is the days of one marketing campaign are dead. I hear this all the time. Shawn, what's the one thing? What's the one marketing campaign? What's the one tactic? What's the thing that is, going to help my business? I get on calls with real estate experts all the time. And I hear this nonstop. I'm trying to find that thing. I wanted to talk to you because maybe you have that thing. And it always encompasses there's one thing out there. There's one marketing campaign that's going to do everything for me. And unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that those days of doing one marketing campaign to generate the leads, to generate the opportunities, to compete in marketplaces that get very competitive at times, to have volatility because of shifting things that are out of our control, right? There's a lot that goes on in real estate that we don't even have control of that has a direct impact on the overarching success, the number of deals, these type of things that we do. All I can focus on is finding more opportunities, and I can't rely on one to do all of it for me. So I got a little secret for you guys. Do we like secrets? It won't be a secret after this call, but this is why I sent that text and said I'm only sending replay out to those that actually show up, because I'm not going to give my secrets away to those that half-ass commit and then don't show up and waste people's times, right? If you guys want a secret, just type secret in the chat. Let me know. Do you want the secret? Max, anybody that doesn't write secret, they got to go. They're not allowed in on the secret. Here's some let's hear it, get some whispers. I love the creativity too. I tell you to write secret, and then there's some creativity going in there. I love it. Saucy secret. There we go. Nicole, I appreciate it. Zip the lip, right? Zip it tight. And the reason I call it a secret is because I'm about to break down what I call the max traffic formula. And this formula is literally the formula that part of the secret, hint, hint, to some of you guys is not new. You've heard me say it hundreds and hundreds of times, but maybe this is the 197th time that you've heard it and it finally clicks. That's what my hope is for you guys. For those that haven't been around for a while, or maybe this isn't, you've never heard me talk about this in the past, maybe this will be that thing, right? That you've been looking for to see if this is, what you need to get over it. And it really is what I call that max traffic playbook, process, formula, whatever word that you want to put with it. And the first step of this whole thing, we're going to kind of go high level here for a second. I'm going to have you guys do some work and I'm going to break some stuff down. But step one of the entire max traffic playbook really comes down to understanding who, right? The market that we, when I say we, I'm talking about you and your business, is focused on. I'm going to put Sal on the spot here in a second, not this second, but I'll let you know, Sal, when I want you to unmute, and I'm going to ask you some questions. But we want to think about it in step one of this. We really need to get clear, like, who is it that we're talking about? When I say the market, what I'm really talking about is our avatar. The ideal person that we serve, right? It's very crystal clear who the avatar of REI Toolbox is, or who the avatar that this webinar was for. This webinar is for the real estate person that was looking for more motivated leads coming to them. I didn't market this webinar to the car mechanic that's looking for more exhaust jumps. Wouldn't have been the right avatar, right? So we got to get really clear on the avatar. And if you guys have been clients of ours in the past, you've seen this customer avatar worksheet. You've got access to it. This is what I'm talking about, though, is that avatar. So I've got a question for you, and that is for you to really sit down and think about who is your avatar. And Sal, I think you've already unmuted here. Let me know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
No, perfect.
I can
hear you. And I think Chris was on too. I think I saw his name pop in there. So Chris, if you want to unmute and chime in on this as well, feel free. Explain to everybody before you guys, because I'm going to give you a second to really kind of do some jotting down, and then I'm going to randomly have a couple of you guys share. But Chris or Sal, whoever wants to take this, give everybody an example, because you guys have dialed this in like crazy over the last year and a half that we've been really working closely on this. Who's the avatar of Ohana Legacy Properties?
Our avatar is very simple. It's a person who's going through probate or has acquired an inherited home. They have a lot on their plate. They're going through a lot of stressful situations, both emotionally and financially. They've just lost a loved one, and they're confused by the probate maze and how complicated it is, and they don't know which direction to turn.
And I'll add to that, it's usually the most responsible adult child of the hierarchy of the home.
I love that detail. So would you guys say, and I'm going to have you go a little deeper here in a second, but would you guys say that if I was pretty savvy about probates in Texas, my grandmother passed away, I inherited her house, I'm pretty savvy with the process, I kind of know what I want to do, kind of, very comfortable with all of this, would I be the right avatar for you?
If you knew about the probate office process, no.
Yeah,
Probably
I'm perfectly comfortable, kind of know what my options are,
No.
kind of toying with keeping the house, not keeping it. Maybe I'll sell it, maybe I use it as a rental. Am I the avatar?
absolutely not.
No,
Even though I'm the older, more sophisticated, educated, savvier child of the family.
Exactly. Because our avatar is someone who is in need of guidance along with the rest of those details.
plus the house that they have is not sellable. It's had deferred maintenance. It can't pass an inspection. They don't have the money. They don't want to spend the money. They don't have the time or the energy, or they think that their cousin who's a plumber and their uncle who's a painter can spend weekends taking care of it. And the fact is, we sit there and we just shake our head.
So those of you guys that are on, I would go to the chat. Let me ask this question. Do we hear the level of detail in that avatar? We haven't even scratched the surface really, but is it really clear like who Chris and Sal, and I saw Bob, you say that you disagree, and you can completely disagree if you want on it, right? There's no right or wrong, but is it really, really clear who Chris and Sal and Ohana Legacy are attacking, right? Who their avatar is that they want to speak to? Just put a yes, right? I see some yeses popping in. Somebody said absolutely detailed. That's what I mean by the level of detail in step one of like, who's my market? And Chris or Sal, feel free to share on that, whoever wants to here. How long has it taken you guys to really get to this level? Because I think a lot of people get confused sometimes and feel like, okay, I already know it. And they just spit one thing out and that's what it is. How long have you guys been really breaking this down and pulling that onion apart?
Coming up on a year. And it's been an education. We've had to get certified in probate because we need to know what we're talking about. But then we had to figure out who is this avatar, who is this person? And it has changed and has evolved over time. Chris, you could add, I'm sure you can add a lot more to that. But
yeah, I'd be curious to have you share why has it changed?
Because of someone like, let's say you set yourself up as an avatar, but you're not really an avatar. So on the surface level, you may think you've got the right person, but in fact, you need the person that's really in need, that needs help now, not tomorrow or next month. I've got a whole whiteboard here of people that said, well, I'll talk to you in 6 months. Okay. We put them on a nurturing campaign, but they're not ready. They're not ready to step in. Then they'll have people who just want information about probate. And we get so involved in the probate. We had a call the other night. The lady said, so you're a probate lawyer? I said, no, I'm not. I said, but I understand the process, but you need to get one. And so we start building credibility that way with these avatars.
So you'd say through some experience, through some trial, we start to hone in like, all right, for my business, and this is why I say Bob can, agree, disagree, and it's not really a difference of right or wrong. You guys through experience started to dial it in and make some changes to like the ideal avatar that we want to work with fits this box, right?
We have a 3-page avatar for probate. So it's pretty detailed.
So when we start to look at the avatar, I'm going to back up here a second, right? To really build this max traffic formula, I got to know who the heck I'm even speaking to. And some of the stuff that goes into the avatar stuff, and I know Chris, Sal, you guys have put a lot of work to this. It's not just even defining who it ideally is, but we start asking ourselves these other questions. What are some of their problems? What are some of their concerns? What keeps them up at night? What's the stress going on in their life and in their situation?
What kind of questions are they asking?
Yeah, because through that, I can get some clarity, right? I could put myself, I've always said this, the best marketers, the best people at driving leads are the ones that can literally put themselves in the shoes of the person they're marketing to. When I can walk in Sal's shoes and see life through Sal's eyes. There's a saying in the marketing space, when you can see the world through Bob Jones's eyes, the way that Bob Jones sees the world, then you can sell Bob Jones exactly what he's looking for. And that's really what we're saying, right? When we can get to that level, so understanding fears, concerns, stress, but then we go a hair deeper than that, and we say, okay, where are they? This avatar, where do they get information? Where do they like to consume things? Are they book readers? Do they do magazines? Do they look at newspapers? Do they watch the news? Do they play on social media nonstop? What is it? Where does this person consume information, knowledge? And I always like to say, not necessarily just in this situation, because they're just getting into this situation. How do they consume other stuff? When COVID hit, were they the type to pay attention to anything and everything they saw online, in social chats? Were they paying attention to the news? Were they listening to podcasts? Were they reading, documents? How does this person consume things when they need to do research? That helps answer some questions. We're gonna build on that here in a second, right? And then I love how you brought some of that detail. Chris actually added that in there at the end. That it's even as deep as like, hey, our best avatar is really the older sibling in this situation, or the more educated one, or the savvy one, right? The more intelligent one of the group. That when we deal with that person, that's our ideal candidate for it. And all of this comes together because our step 2, we have to ask ourselves, what's the message? To drive more traffic, we really need to be speaking directly at that avatar. And I'm curious, go to the chat, just type a 1 if this has ever happened to you. Have you ever seen some kind of like a commercial, read something, saw a social media ad? I love how Bob types a 1. He doesn't even know what my question is. That's some good NLP that I told you to put a 1 and you just did the 1. But have you ever seen any kind of advertisement, had any kind of marketing in front of you that all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, they're talking directly to me? If that's ever happened to you, type a 1, yes, something like that. That is marketing that's really dialed in to the avatar. When we start looking at something, it's like, holy crap, did Victor look at my windows or something last night? How in the hell did he know that was the information I needed right this minute? That's what we mean by understanding your avatar so deeply that we can take a message and bolt them together. And it's almost like I'm talking directly to that one person. And the more we can do that right there, just these 2 steps, and there's still more to this whole process, but the tighter we can dial step 1 and step 2 to almost where they just bolt together, the more leads that we will start to create. Because it's not, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about the tactic, right? Which is, we're going to get into that in step 3. It's more so about the message being dialed into the actual avatar that we're going after. That's starting to make some sense. Type something in the chat, let me know. Because from here, we're going to get a little more technical. And before I go, I see the thumbs ups and the yes. And before I go there, I want you to read what's on the screen here, right? I'm your target buyer. You want my attention, then you better get to know me and understand what I want to hear and read about. Because I care about me, not your widgets and your features. Because a lot of times we get confused when it comes to the message. The message has nothing to do with the features, the benefits, the rah, oh, look at me, right? I'll be honest with you guys, the days of saying, I buy houses, they don't give a shit. I pay cash, they don't care. I can close in 7-10 days, so does everybody else. We don't charge realtor commissions, neither does 28 of you guys that reached out to me. Right? If your version of putting a message in front of an avatar is simply stuck on the features and the benefits of what your company can do, you'll forever struggle to get leads. Messaging is all about this right here. Dialing in what is really your unique selling proposition, or what's called the USP. And the only zone that we really need to focus on is that right there, the USP, or what's known as the winning zone. When your brand makes, does, solves, completes exactly what your consumers want. That's what makes you unique. Notice the who cares section. This is where I feel like the majority, I'd say about 95, and I'm going to be, you guys that have been around a while, you know, I'm 100% honest. I'm going to be straight with you guys. Most of your marketing falls into what we call the who cares section. If your consumer does not want what you've got, your goods, or it's basically the same thing that your competitor does, and you're trying to live off of that, the answer every time is, who cares? Why should I choose you? And that answer to that, why I should choose you, is the USP. It's that winning zone. It's the solving exactly, or them feeling like, because it doesn't always have to be that you've got some complete unique thing. At the end of the day, REI Toolbox is a digital marketing agency. What makes us completely different? I happen to have tools and outlets and things that most agencies don't even know about or have experience in, and we know real estate. That's what makes us unique. We do this for real estate experts at a really high level, right? With tools that most real estate companies don't even know exist. And I can solve problems that most agencies can't solve because of that. That's what makes us unique. But at the surface, if I just said, well, we're a digital marketing agency, just like Investor Carrot, just like, well, we do websites. If I left it at that, right? Those are features, those are benefits. Who cares? So can, 18 other people around the corner. So I'd encourage you, take a screenshot of this screen right here. And after this webinar, as you guys are doing some of your work, I want to challenge you to really put the challenge. Ask yourself, if I say this, what category does that fall in? Is it the same as my competitor? Is it really the who cares? We really want to pay attention that we're not trying to be in that what's called the losing zone. If your consumer actually wants something and your competitor can do it much better than you, you've lost. And as you start to develop some messaging, really ask yourself, is this unique? Is what I do unique? Or am I bringing it from a unique way? Am I saying it in a unique way? Do I have something unique about us that my competition doesn't? Or am I really just the same as my competition? And then that risky phase, which is kind of in the middle, this is where I see a lot of real estate companies fall short. They fall on this risky side, right? It's basically a competitive battle. I'm no different than my competition. Everything's the same. I do exactly what they do. We both do it about equally. And when we fall into that category, there's only one differentiator. I'm curious if you guys know what it is. What do you think that one differentiator is if I'm in that risky zone? Dominique nailed it right out of the gate with the first one. Price. In the real estate space, that means the offer. When I'm in the risky zone as a real estate investor, and Sal and Chris and Ohana and Shawn and Access Home Buyers are dead equal, it comes down to which one of you can offer me more. Which one's going to give me more money? Which one am I going to put more in my pocket from? And when we're in that battle that's simply revolving around that one factor, that's why we call it the risky zone. You'll win some, but you are going to lose a lot of them, right? Because we can't compete on price every day and survive. Give me a 1 in the chat if you guys got the screenshots. That way I know that I can move past this slide. I don't want to move too fast. Okay, see quite a bit of 1s, so we should be good. So ask yourself, what's your message? And you guys might not be able to answer this right now, but this is, I would write this down. If you're taking notes, write this really big. Like, what is my message? And then spend some time and really start to think about this. And start to kind of challenge yourself with that other slide previous to this and ask, do I fall in the right bucket? Or am I in this risky zone? Am I in the stop zone? Where am I? And how can I change this? And trust me, just like you heard Chris and Sal say, it's taken them a year to just dial in the avatar. Sal, give me a thumbs up, or unmute and answer audibly here. Would you say it's about equal when it comes to the message? Year plus to dial this in, and you're still working on it.
Yes, we are. We're continuously changing it and adding to it. And also, Shawn, that because of the structure of our avatar, we have gotten deals where we were not the best price. We've shared that with you because we were in shock, but it was because of the uniqueness of the messaging that we did.
So once we get there, we can go to step 3. And step 3 is all about the where, meaning where is this going to go? We got 12, 13, 14 touch points. This is what we're talking about now. The media, which is the outlet, right? Where is this message going to get deployed? How am I going to get these things in front of them? Where is it? And this is why that section of the avatar worksheet, where it's like, where do they consume? Do they spend time on Facebook over Instagram? Is it Instagram more so than TikTok? Is it Snapchat? Is it blogs? Is it, do they use Google or do they use Yahoo? What is it that, do they still read the newspaper? Do they still look at things in their mail? What is it? So that I know, are they email? Are they text lovers? These type of things, so that I know where I could potentially deploy, because I need to have multi-channel. This is what I meant by early on when I said, if you guys are trying to survive off of one, you might as well just jump off this webinar. Because if you're only going to do one marketing campaign, you're probably not going to get many leads. It comes down to multi-channel. You have to have multiple facets happening simultaneously so that you can, if I were to put another word on this slide, I would call this omnipresent or omni-channel, meaning all places, all times, so that no matter where they're at, I have a higher probability that they're finding me and not my competition, right? So I'm curious, throw them in the chat. What are some of the channels that come to mind, or what are the channels that you guys are using on a consistent basis? What are channels that come to mind for those of you that aren't doing any marketing? And those that are, what are some channels that you're consistently using? Got website, SMS, email. Let's see what else comes in. FB, IG, YouTube, we got website, Instagram, lots of Instagram, got some Kurt saying direct mail, PPC Google, got some Facebook stuff, email, direct mail, Google business sites, blogs, maps. I didn't put it in this presentation, but I have a list of, it's like combination, when you play the combination game with this list, it's close to 2.5 million potential outlets or potential media channels, right? That we could be utilizing. Now, does that mean we have to use all of them? No, my magic number is 13. I need 13 touch points, and I want to do it through multiple channels, meaning I don't want just one channel trying to do all 13 touches. But I do need to get to 13 or 14 touches. So I probably need to have a handful of different channels working in my favor, whether that's text, SMS, or SMS is our text, our email. Maybe I've got some blog stuff out there. Maybe I've got direct mail. Maybe I'm doing some cold calling. Maybe I've got some search campaigns running. I got display campaigns running. I got programmatic displays running. I got a video. I got over the top ads, whatever the case might be, right? I'm doing some search engine optimization, all this kind of stuff. I want multiple facets working in tandem with each other. And that's the key right there. It's not just about throwing a bunch of channels or outlets or media places. It's about making sure they work in unison, in tandem, and help speed up that process of getting 13 of them together. And this is what happens when we work in our lead dominator program. And before I go any farther here, I actually want to stop for a second and kind of open it up for some questions on this point, because from here I'm going to actually break down like what our lead dominator program looks like, because it is the true multi-channel attack that data has shown us consistently now for the last 6, 8, 12 months, that when we operate this way, when our clients operate this way, that's what's working, hands down. When we take any piece of this away, results vary. When all of these things are working in unison and firing together, it's almost, without being allowed to say I can guarantee it's going to work, because I can't guarantee anything other than death in life, I can almost put that word to it when we work this in unison of each other. So before I go into that, though, I want to open it up and see what questions there are. I'm sure you guys have a couple questions, or is there anything you want me to go a little deeper on first? Feel free to unmute. I don't know who all's on, so I can't randomly call on people other than Victor's talking on his phone. I hope he's, putting a property under contract or working with a buyer of a property or something. Anybody got anything? No? Okay. With that being said, I do want to put a little disclaimer. What I'm about to share with you guys as part of the Lead Dominator program, or how this process really works, really isn't for everyone. Roger and I have really come to understand that over the last probably 6, 8, 10 months, that there's a lot of people in the real estate space. Can we agree with that? Yeah. All right. If I can see you guys all, I bet there's some thumbs ups happening. Yeah, I hear it all the time. There's a ton of people in my market. There's a lot of competition. What I've come to also realize over the last 10, 12 years being in this game, that there's probably only about 1% of real estate people in markets that really actually do the majority of the business. And it simply comes down to, if you don't fall into this category, meaning if you're not really serious about building a true business and not a hobby, if you're the type that's not ready to actually invest in marketing, and I use words very strategically here, because there's a difference between spending money on marketing and investing in marketing. If you're that type that's just kind of looking for the free pill, right, or the cheap stuff, or the easiest, cheapest way to get to have something, then this probably won't be for you. And I don't just mean this program, I just mean this business in general. If you're not ready for a process and you're just kind of like looking for that overnight success, right? That one thing that I hear all the time, people get on and ask, I hope you have that one thing I'm looking for. If that's you might want to just, go back to punching the 9 to 5, because this business, this level of marketing to really succeed won't be for you. And if you're not ready to actually have leads in your pipeline, because I hear this one all the time, Shawn, I'm just afraid to market. I'm just afraid to put any money behind this because I'm not ready to actually handle the leads. And you're probably not ready for this business either, right? You're probably not ready to really have a business. That's why I go back to, you got to be ready to build the true business and look at it from, I'm investing money, I'm investing to grow it, because that's how things grow, is through investments. I'm not looking for the overnight pill, these type of things. So the good news is I can only see 3 or 4 of you guys on my screen. If you happen to fall in one of these categories, no harm, no foul. If this isn't you, feel free to jump up. But for those of you guys that you look at this and you're like, okay, I'm starting to understand that this max traffic playbook is, yes, it's as simple as what I just broke down. It's all about market message media. Who, what, and where. That's all it is. And with the right tactics tied into that, we can have all the leads that our business could ever handle. It's just not going to be cheap. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be quick and overnight. That's the key, right? So what is this lead dominator program, or what we call our max traffic playbook? Because really our lead dominator program is just that. It's, for us, it's the end-to-end marketing program for real estate experts that are really looking to drive more qualified leads and close more deals. Now, with us, when you're doing this through REI Toolbox, think of a CMO. Does anybody, throw it in the chat, do you know what CMO stands for? Just type a yes or one if you know what it means. If you don't, I'll explain it. So far, I'm just seeing ones and yeses. So everybody should know what a CMO is. Think of this like a fractionalized CMO. Does anybody have an idea of what a true CMO for a company would range between? Like, what is an annual salary of a CMO? Anybody have a guess on that? To be honest, it at least has one comma in the dollar amount, which means it's over 6 figures a year on average. How many companies, real estate companies, right, local real estate experts like you guys on this call, could afford a chief marketing officer for 6 figures or more? Probably not very many, right? So the way we've actually built this is really to be that fractionalized CMO, meaning you're only paying a fraction of that. Therefore, the cost is a little bit less because you can't afford the full one, right? And a CMO is really good with, that's why they call them the chief marketing officer. They're really good about driving marketing initiatives, marketing messages, marketing details, right? So in our lead dominator program, we really deep dive into the brand and USP development. So Chris and Sal have been so dialed in with theirs. We've been spending a lot of time since last May, when they came out to LA and really started to kind of go through this lead dominator program, doing the work, digging deep into the brand of Ohana Legacy, really dialing in that USP. What makes them unique? Who's the avatar, right? Who is it that we're going after? Been on a lot of consulting calls and talking quite heavily with Chris and Sal, different stuff that's helped them get to that point. Lead magnet development. It's another big portion of it, right? Inbound marketing is all about information. It's all about content. When people are in that information phase, it's all about giving them the answers. Sal, what is some of the lead magnets or freemiums that I like to call it that you guys have developed that is like directed right at those avatars?
Probate wise is a probate timeline. That's really useful because the biggest question we hear is how long does this stuff take? What to expect when you're going through probate. We've had lead magnets that talk about responsibilities of executors versus the heirs. I mean, there's been about 3 or 4 of them that you guys have helped us with that have really gotten a lot of attention.
And these are things that your ideal avatar are asking the questions around, right? These are things of value that are actually going to help answer some of the questions. And through that, right, when they're designed the right way, they actually position the brands. This goes back to that brand and the USP development. They push the brand to being the ideal solution, right? The right choice through some of the follow-ups and that kind of stuff, which leads us into this final piece. To really dominate, to really have this max traffic, it's like I've been attacking this one all night, the multimedia attack. It's a combination of, and what we've seen works incredibly well. The clients that we're working with that have all of this in place, consistently getting lead flow, direct mail, geofencing, paid traffic, paid search, paid display campaigns, which is, we use geofencing and programmatic display as another variation of that, mixed with a strong search engine side. And I hear this one all the time, Shawn, I'm trying to do the SEO, or you guys are doing my SEO, just my SEO, and I'm not doing anything else. It's not about one of these, right? I'm doing text messages, and it's not about one of these. It's about all of these that you see in that section under multimedia attack, the direct mail, the geofence, the PPC, the SEO, the text, the call, the emails, and doing it in an automated variation, in an automated format, so that we can ease the time that we're putting into it, but enhance the frequency, the consistency. Site retargeting. This one is huge. I can show you guys data for days on some of our clients that are running direct mail retargeting, that are running display ad retargetings. It's it's really mind-boggling when you study the data on how much traffic websites actually get, real estate websites, your guys' website. How much traffic's really coming there when you've got all of these marketing tactics firing in unison and in conjunction with each other. How much traffic's there and how little they opt in right away, or how little they convert the very first time that they get there. It's really the 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th, 12th time that somebody's been around that they finally start to opt, unless they already are in that 1 to 3% because they've been visiting somebody else's stuff and then they finally stumble on yours. Think of your own buying habits. How many of you guys have looked at something and not bought it today? Looked at it again next week and not bought it. And then maybe a month from now, you finally bought the thing. Just because we put something in front of somebody once, twice, 3, 10 times doesn't mean they're necessarily going to do it. We need to continue to chase them. So what we've seen is direct mail and programmatic advertising on the site retargeting side is an absolute must. They've expressed some kind of interest, which means those pieces, that type of marketing, redirected, retargeted type of marketing, is a completely different message than the very first pieces that go out. We can't leverage the same message each time. And then having a high-powered CRM, because not a single one of us, myself included, could try to do this manually. So having a high-powered CRM, a way for an automation system, some kind of marketing platform, it's going to be able to kind of house all of this, and more importantly, keep it consistently flowing, kind of like a machine. And if I were to sum this up, if you guys look at the image on the left, right, we call this the Max Traffic Playbook because those of you guys have been around for a little bit, you know the octopus, our little mascot, we've always called him Max Traffic. And this is his playbook, right? And the playbook is simple. At the center of it is our CRM. In our case, it's Lead Vault. On the outer ring, we've got stuff like direct mail, we've got geofence, and we've got some retargeting stuff happening. All of that's designed to help us attract, engage, and delight. Right? Think of this as a flywheel, the way these arrows are moving. As we're hitting some direct mail, some geofencing, we're leveraging our CRM with some automated text and emails and different stuff. It's starting to turn that inner cog. Really what we're doing is just turning the attract, engage, delight. And that's how we take strangers into prospects, into customers, into promoters. And we loved using the octopus because an octopus has a bunch of tentacles, right? A bunch of arms. That octopus moves through the water and does its thing and survives because of its ability to wrap multiple arms on different things and do different stuff and function. And our marketing is the same. It's multiple arms doing multiple different things with potential suction points everywhere. But at the end of the day, turn this wheel that we call the flywheel, and with the right market, meaning the right avatar dialed in, the media outlet that makes sense, and a message that speaks directly to them, there's your Max Traffic Playbook. With that, if you guys are interested in what this would be like for your company, what does it really entail? What does it take? And more importantly, to see if your business even qualifies for this. Because I'll be honest, I go back to that slide I said before, this isn't for everybody, and we know that. We know what a good company looks like that fits this, and when we plug this playbook right in, it's consistent leads on a consistent basis. And then there's the next problem that I get to solve, and that's the fun one. Shawn, I got too many leads and I can't close all these deals. Shawn, I got too many leads and I don't have the funding to do that. I don't know if Jordan's on right now, but Jordan and Jacob up in Charleston, West Virginia. I was just on a consulting call earlier today with him while I was hanging out in the ocean. And that's what we were talking about. He's got like 18 deals, I think, right now in the works. And he's like, I just need to line up more money. We're locking stuff up left and right. We got opportunities coming in left and right. I just need to lock up more funds to get these things in place. So we're working on a solution for that, trying to help them move that needle along. But if you're in that early category where it's like, okay, I'm ready to take this as a true business, I'm ready to build this the right way, I want to put this in place, I want to get a true process that's going to drive leads in front of me. The link's on the screen. Feel free, book a call. My calendar is open next week, even though I'll still be here, still doing some work. So you guys could get on my calendar as early as next week. If not, April 8th, I fly back. If you want to book after the 10th, I'll be back in the office in LA. And then for those of you that maybe it doesn't make sense. Financially, it doesn't make sense. Operationally, it doesn't make sense. You're not trying to build that large of a business that you need something of this magnitude or whatever the case might be. If it doesn't make sense, but you want to implement some of this, you want to try to figure it out on yourself. I am going to be putting together a workshop. We're going to be hosting that out at the office. It's going to happen either end of April or first part of May. There's some tentative dates that are being thrown around. Stay on the lookout for that. That's going to be a very limited seating event, though. So when that information does come out, for those of you guys that are looking to go that route, you're going to want to jump on that right away. We've only got room for about 15 people at the office. So it'll be small and intimate. It's going to be a bunch of hands-on work during that time. So with that, I'm going to actually, you guys got the link enough. I'm going to de-share so that I can actually see now who is on, because I feel like I've been talking to Sal and Victor, Sal and Bob most of this time. But let's start here. Anybody have any questions, thoughts, or comments? And if not, I'm going to wrap up so I can go to dinner. Tony, good to see you, by the way. I see you're on. Going once, going twice. Okay. Well, with that being said,
Shawn, Terry here. So we click on the book here thing, nothing's happening. So
Well, you can't-
just copy the.
You can't click the screen. That was a screen share of a PowerPoint slide. Just go to reitoolbox.com/leads.
Got it.
It'd be pretty cool if I could have you click on a
I
shared
know,
screen on
that's
Zoom.
what I thought you were trying to pull off there.
Terry, my caveman, take your monkey arms and type away on your
Take my
keyboard.
chisel and hammer and go home.
I think he expected you to have invented a new marketing tool.
Thanks, Curtis. Exactly.
I was going to put a QR code on that screen, and maybe I should have, just for Terry. He might have actually known that he could scan that one.
I do have the app for that.
All right. Any questions? Okay. Well, with that, good seeing you guys. Let me actually stop the recording so